625Y by Wally K. Daly, with Amanda Root as Kate and Jeffrey Whitehead as Slingsby.
I've been working on this story for 6 months now. In my wildest dreams, I never thought it would end like this. People being shot at by soldiers in Parliament Square. If it is the end, that is. Reports are coming in that large and angry crowds are gathered outside the parliaments of other European cities. And in America, over 1 million people are marching towards the White House, where they intend to confront the president with their demands. From the government's point of view, the problem is that the demands of the people are all too easy to meet. A program could be put in place within days. But meeting the people's wishes would bring economic disaster to the whole world and spell the end of the cycle of life of the human race forever. The whole business started in Cambridge, England, at the offices of UK Futures, a small scientific laboratory, part of the Genome Project.
How could you keep this from me? How could you? You know our future is dependent on producing good results. This one would be extraordinary.
I just wanted to make sure I was right, that's all. I didn't want to go off half-cocked.
Half-cocked? No, I've seen your data on cell deterioration and the state of the mice you used in your experiments. Kate, this is a potential gold mine.
Yes.
The company's worries will be over.
But if there are side effects to the treatment, then...
Somebody else can find them. That's not our problem. At the moment, our problem is to get this knowledge generating income.
Joe told you, didn't he?
No, he didn't.
I told him in confidence.
It didn't come from Joe. Kate, tell me, what did you do in your experiments to produce these results?
I was mapping a group of genes primarily active in the area of the pituitary gland, one being gene 625Y.
Using mice?
Yes. Well, with one of them, I'd accidentally switched off this gene. I intended to go back at the end of the day and re-switch it so it wouldn't throw up any false results in the tests. I forgot. I never got round to it.
And?
I realized a few weeks later that that mouse was not getting any older. Tissue samples confirmed it. I decided it could have been a fluke, so I tried it on another batch. This time, half having 625Y switched off, the rest left with it switched on. You've seen the results.
No sign of aging whatsoever.
And no tissue degeneration either.
How difficult is it switching off the gene?
Straightforward. Minor procedure. Take a blood sample, treat it, re-inject it. The body takes care of the rest.
And it should work equally well on humans?
Looks that way. I've got live tissue and plasma samples from a female volunteer.
You?
Yes.
And?
No aging deterioration apparent in the tissue or plasma, animal or human, over a 6-month period.
So, what should have died or been replenished in a day or two is now the human equivalent of hundreds of years old.
Yes.
This is gigantic. I better talk to the Health Ministry about it today. Get their views. Could have immense ramifications.
I know, it's wonderful, isn't it? We're all going to be famous.
Yes!
Kate's fiancé was a fellow laboratory worker, Joe Bernard, a marine biologist. He was a pleasant enough fellow, but had a major character flaw. He was a gambler who never knew when to stop.
Look, I've heard what you're saying. I'll get the money to you as soon as possible. I had a run of bad luck, that's all. 25,000, that's ridiculous. It was less than 20,000 only 2 weeks ago. Oh, you can't charge that amount of interest. That's usury.
Joe?
Oh, look, somebody's here. I've got to go. Yeah, I'll be in touch. You'll get your money.
What's wrong?
Nothing. Old friend from town called.
You were laying a bet.
No, I wasn't. Oh, don't look like that, Kate. I haven't been gambling.
You promised.
And I'm keeping my promise. Start again, shall we? Hi.
Hi.
How come a social call in the middle of a busy working day?
Why did you tell Slingsby about the result of my tests?
Well, I told him nothing. You said in confidence, and the confidence was kept.
Well, he knows, and you're the only one I've told.
Oh, act your age, Kate. Do you think the rest of the team don't have eyes? They walk past your cages every day. They see the change. They now see white mice as wizened as Methuselah and white mice from the same batch behaving like little Rambos.
A touch exaggerated, perhaps.
Kate, everybody here knows that there is genetic engineering of an amazing high order going on in your section. And they don't yet know what I know about the everlasting tissue and plasma samples.
I just thought...
Don't. I'm the person you're going to marry, right?
That's what you tell me.
So, if you can't trust the person you're going to marry, who can you trust?
I'll let you know when I find the answer. I'll see you this evening.
No, I'm going to have to cancel. I've got to go up to town tonight. The friend who called it a bit of business.
No casino popping, okay?
You have my word. Gambling and me are finished.
I'll keep you to that.
The gambling's finished, but the debt goes on and on.
Well, thank you for giving me your time so freely, Minister, and yes, I will have a briefing paper with you tomorrow. Of course. Well, I look forward to hearing what the Cabinet and the Prime Minister have to say. Yes, I do appreciate the delicate nature of the information that I'm giving you and will insist that my team keep it to themselves as well. Very good, Minister.
This 625Y, if Professor Slingsby is to be believed, and I have no reason to doubt his scholarship, contains the instruction to any given creature, either human or animal, to age and die. It is nothing less than the death gene. Switching it off prevents that instruction being given. The creature in question, human or animal, cannot then die of natural causes. Experiments with skin tissue and blood plasma confirm these findings. Excluding fatal accidents, we are looking at the discovery of eternal life.
If what this Professor Slingsby says is true, it is nothing short of a disaster. The insurance, pension and funeral industries will go to the wall for a start. And Lord knows how it'll affect the health service.
Must be a disaster.
We must stop them going public with this. It must never see the light of day. The laboratory must be declared a major health hazard and put under martial law. Minister of Defence, can I have your thoughts?
Well, Prime Minister, how about a suggestion that some awful doomsday bug is being manufactured at this laboratory?
I think the information on 625Y must be suppressed under the Official Secrets Act forthwith.
I wholeheartedly agree. Put it in hand.
There is one thing you must bear in mind, Prime Minister, before taking your suggested course of action.
Yes?
Well, this company, UK Futures, is one of many my ministry keeps a close eye on. We found the bulk of their non-government funding comes from an American chemical and pharmaceutical investment giant called Cultraco.
I can't see a problem with that.
Well, Cultraco, according to our friends in the United States, is an organisation that is, they suspect, substantially criminally funded.
How substantially?
Get a headache tomorrow, Prime Minister. Take a tablet, and chances are you are increasing mafia profits worldwide.
All the more reason to stop them in their tracks now.
Yes. If we can, that is.
The mafia connection with the firm didn't become public knowledge until recently. The government funding for UK Futures wasn't enough to cover the research being undertaken there, let alone Professor Slingsby's extravagant lifestyle. He felt a large income A large house and a large car were the basic requisites of a good professorial life. So extra funding was always needed and always very welcome.
I was, of course, delighted to receive your letter, Mr. Flowers, and to discover that your company, Culture Co., is perhaps interested in investing in our research.
Perhaps is a word to keep an eye on, Professor. We're not there yet. Slowly, slowly is our company motto.
And the company?
Culture Co. is set to be the largest pharmaceutical and chemical investment company in the USA.
Really?
Well, we intend within the next 5 years to be the largest company in Europe as well.
Well, that's very...
My brief is to get the show on the road in the shortest possible time. We think we might like you and your company to be part of our growth.
And your manufacturing arm?
We don't have a manufacturing arm. We don't manufacture. We simply invest and take a percentage of the profit on successful projects. And, of course, bite the bullet on the ones that don't come to fruit. Though we're never happy if there are too many of those.
Still, common sense dictates that most research will not bear fruit, so I presume a fairly high return would be required on the money spinners.
Sure, but that's no sweat. If the returns are high enough, there should be enough to keep everyone happy. But that's really not my territory, Professor. I leave that to the lawyers. I just slog around Oxford, Cambridge, and your other wonderful university cities, looking for the opportunity to give millions of our company's money away.
A pleasant enough occupation.
Sure is. One other thing. We'd like you to be a special advisor on the project if it gets the go-ahead, independent of your work here. A freelance. Paid a bunch of bucks for smoothing the way. That be okay?
Yes. I'm sure something could be arranged.
Good. So, how about the conducted tour you offered?
Of course. And then we'll join my wife for lunch.
Yeah. Hey, Jacko?
Who is it?
Danny Flowers, Culture Co. Just been visiting a small research company in Cambridge, UK Futures. Yeah, we may be going in there in a small way, but first I want everybody checked out. Yeah, you got it. From the MD Slingsby to the T-Boy. Oh, we need a contact name there. Somebody to be my eyes and ears. Preferably with a handle on them. Today, if possible, tomorrow at the latest. Yeah, usual fee. Good. I'll look forward to hearing from you.
Come.
Major Peters, Minister.
Michael, how good to see you. Been much too long.
Certainly has, Minister.
Charles.
Duty takes us in very different directions these days.
Not today, Michael. Not today. Come, take a seat.
Thank you.
Anyone can call me Charles in private, it's you.
Very good. Charles it is.
Usual?
Please.
Michael, the Prime Minister has given me an enormously difficult and politically sensitive task to organise on behalf of His Majesty's government.
You know that the team and I are the soul of discretion.
Team is still together?
Covertly, yes.
Good. That's what I'd hoped I'd hear you say. Is Johnson still with you?
Yes. And Smithy. Is it as serious as that?
I'm afraid so.
Thank you.
We need to close down a mafia-funded laboratory that is patently peddling one of the most dangerous substances known to man.
Guaranteeing death in its wake?
Worse. Guaranteeing life.
Life?
Life eternal. We may have to provide a death or two to balance the books.
Wasn't that always the way of it, Minister?
Yes. Unfortunately it was, Major.
So, where's our posting?
Cambridge. A small laboratory called UK Futures. You are to close it down immediately.
Cover story?
The discovery of a germ warfare manufacturing facility there. The necessary evidence will be provided.
Any requirement for terminal dispatch?
Definitely one, perhaps two. Use your own judgment.
You can't do this. You have no right.
I have every right. Here are my orders. You're a health hazard, Professor. We're going to have to cordon you off from the outside world until you're not.
And when will that be?
Who knows? Medical types will be down this evening. They're going to have to clear your stock. Get rid of all the animals. Go through the place with a fine tooth comb.
Looking for what?
Usual materials. Nasty chemicals, all packaged and ready to be delivered to inappropriate people in inappropriate places.
This is preposterous, Major. We are a research unit. There's nothing dangerous here. There's mice, and rats, rabbits, and pigs, and that's an end to it.
Let's never forget who got the Black Death underway, Professor. A rat.
Jacko, what are you telling me? A gambler doesn't gamble anymore? What sort of hold is that on a mark? Oh, I see. So how much does he owe? Accumulating interest? Now that is not friendly. Okay, you give me a call the next time this Joe Bernard guy comes in, and I'll pay the club a visit.
What's it all about, Professor?
We're now prisoners in our own research institute. The government have seen fit to put a place of safety order on UK Futures. They appear to believe we're a potential health hazard and a danger to the state.
Oh, that is truly ridiculous.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, but I've seen the notice issued by the Ministry of Defence, and the soldiers outside are real enough. They're cordoning us off from the outside world.
Do we get to go home at the end of the day?
No. Members of staff already sleeping on site will continue to use their own rooms. Additional accommodation for staff who normally live in town will, I'm told, be delivered this afternoon.
This is because of my research into 625Y, isn't it?
No, we can't be sure of that.
What other reason could there be?
Well, it does appear the phone call to Whitehall and the briefing paper I sent to the Minister has rather set the alarm bells ringing.
Obviously. Listen, everybody. You all know by now what I've been working on for the last few months. I treated myself over 3 months ago, and there have been no side effects whatever. Tests prove my cells have stopped aging. I won't be getting any older than I am now, ever. Now, it would take just a few minutes to treat anyone who wanted treating before they close us down. And before I leave.
I told you, Kate, nobody is allowed to leave. A total cordon sanitaire.
I am leaving, Kate, and I'm going to let the whole world know what's going on here. The people must decide for themselves whether they have this thing or not the government. So, who wants treating before I go? You too, Joe?
Oh, not for me. Life's a little too precious just at the moment for taking that sort of risk. I have a future wife and kids to think of, remember?
Well, when you're old and grey, don't come running to me looking for sympathy.
How many took up your offer?
More than half. Mainly the younger ones, surprisingly enough. How about you, Professor? Wouldn't take more than a few minutes.
No. I'll plod on quietly, getting older by the day. See how I feel after you guinea pigs have tried it for a few years.
Fine. I'm leaving the site now.
You know you're putting our funding at risk by running off like this? Making it look as though we do have something to hide. I think I deserve better.
I'm sorry. It's just something I've got to do.
How do you hope to get past the troops?
Joe's going to drive me to the off-site farm on his motorcycle. We're hoping to see a gap in their defences along the way and make a break for it.
You think they'll let you head for the farm?
Well, Joe's already organised it. Said we have to close the unit down or the animals will suffer.
We have no animals there.
Well, they don't know that. Anyway, a parting gift for you.
Ah. 2 white mice.
1 old, 1 young, same batch. I'm taking the earliest test mice out with me. Might help provide proof of what I've been getting up to here. Thought you might like the second oldest pair as a souvenir.
Thanks. Just what I've always wanted.
The old boy's probably good for another year, and Junior, who's the same age as Grandad, but an infinitely better Nick, will probably see you out, Professor.
Thanks for the thought, Kate. I'll try to do the same for you one day.
Think nothing of it.
What do you intend to do if you do get through?
We'll get the story to the press, if possible. Let the world know what's going on here.
There's bound to be a news blackout.
We'll see.
but they're still keeping a very beady eye on us.
When do we make our move?
In about 15 seconds. You see the gap in the cliff to the left?
Yes.
There's a 5-meter drop on the other side. They won't be expecting us to go that way. Too dangerous.
How dangerous is it?
You just hang on tight. Don't let go of the box.
Okay. I don't believe it. They're shooting at us.
Nearly there. Keep your head down. Hang on. Hang on tight. We're going to land with a bomb.
There you go, Mum. Dogberry Echo as requested. People still moving about in there, so you should find someone to help.
Are you coming in with me?
No, I've got to go up to town again. I have a bit of business to attend to while I can. We are both going to be nicked for this, you know.
We'll end up in jail.
Something like that.
Where are we going to meet? Flat's out of the question.
Go straight to Jane's place.
Horton Street.
Number 4. Jane's locked in the lab. She's not going to need it.
How do I get in?
Key's on top of the door frame.
How do you know?
I told her we were making a dash for it, and she said if we needed a bolt hole, we could use that.
Right.
Now, get inside and find yourself a local reporter in need of a great national story. See you later.
I first met Kate Brown when she came into the newspaper office looking lost late one evening. It was just before the germ warfare story broke. The editor put us together thinking we might be soul sisters or something, and as it turned out, he was right. I took Kate straight to a local bar to get her a large brandy to calm her nerves. She was shaking so much with the tension or the terror of her escape from the laboratory. Finally, I got to hear the whole story.
Then troops arrived first thing this morning, surrounded the place. Wouldn't let anyone leave.
You were out?
Oh, I escaped with Joe on the back of his motorbike. They shot at us.
And where's Joe now?
He had to go to town. I'm seeing him later.
Will he confirm what you're saying?
Yes. Look!
What?
I don't believe it, that's me.
Jack, would you turn the television up?
Yeah.
Thanks.
For a biological weapon.
What?
The chemicals found are believed to be both highly volatile and unstable. The army are enforcing a 1-mile exclusion zone around the site. Police and soldiers are searching for 2 young scientists, Kate Brown and Joe Bernard, who are believed to be armed and dangerous. As they broke through the army cordon on a motorcycle this afternoon, shots were exchanged.
We didn't have any guns. They shot at
Members
us.
of the public were advised not to
I believe
approach
you.
the couple, but to report their presence to the police. In the House of Commons,
Thanks,
this
Jack.
afternoon, the Prime Minister was asked...
You believe me?
Well, I can certainly see the troops are there, and that confirms you're telling the truth about that bit. But are you really armed?
No. We didn't shoot at them. They shot at us.
But why? It just doesn't
Let
make...
me show you. What do you see?
A couple of white mice. An old one, looking as if he's on his last legs, and a baby one looking frisky.
They're the same age. They're no different, except the young one was treated and the old one wasn't.
And this treatment would have the same effect on humans.
I believe I stay the age I am now for the rest of my life. And the rest of my life, if the mice are anything to go by, could be quite a while.
What do you mean I can't get through? I want to talk to Professor Slingsby now. My company don't invest in germ stuff. We have a good name to think of. You don't know these people. I am in serious trouble here. I am not shouting. I am asking to be put through to Professor Slingsby immediately. What do you mean you're putting the phone... Do you know who you're talking to? You are talking to... Danny Flowers. They're gonna tear my legs off and club me to death with them.
Well, did you get through to anyone?
I got through to everyone.
And?
And there's an end to it. Your story's dead on the hook, spiked before being submitted.
I don't understand.
Well, they've got today's lead story already. A laboratory making lethal, illegal weapons for a foreign power. And all you got is 2 white mice.
But 2 white mice and me. I mean, I'm the one they're looking for, remember?
Yeah, I kept quiet about that. You want trigger-happy soldiers knowing where you are? Let's find out what's going on before feeding you to the sharks.
I could prove it so easily if we were at the laboratory.
Not by now, you couldn't. If what you say is true, all the animal stock will have been taken away and probably something nasty put there to replace it.
Danny Flowers. Yes. When? Oh, that is great news. Your timing couldn't be better. Remind me of his name. Joe Bernard. Good. You tell him to hold him at the casino till I get there. He must not be allowed out of the place. Now, how much does he owe? 25,000. You tell him the family might want to buy the marker for 30G. No, I don't want him damaged. Just tell him to hold him till I get there. Which club? Cranford's. Great. I'll be with them in under an hour.
All the explosive in place, Johnson?
Yes, sir. Every building here plus the off-site farm wired up and ready to go.
Good. Laboratory staff?
Last coach just leaving now, sir. Smithy's got his eye on him.
Good.
What happens to him, sir?
Oh, they're to be held at an army camp for interrogation. See who's responsible for this little lot. Okay, Johnson, let's have the switch.
Sir?
And here goes the evidence.
There you are. The flames in the distance say it all.
The laboratory's gone.
And any evidence that you were telling the truth would have gone with it.
Let him in. Danny, good to see you. How you been?
Yeah, pretty good. And you?
Well, you know how it is. Win a few, lose a few.
Yeah.
This one here is a loser few. Gambles too much with my money, doesn't know when to stop, doesn't want to pay me back.
I've paid off £5,000 tonight, and I promised I'd pay £1,000 a month till it's clear.
The interest is going to cost you more than that.
Yeah, hold it. A moment, okay?
All right, hold it, Danny.
You work for UK Futures, right?
Yeah? What's that got to do with anything?
I may need your help. You certainly need mine. These boys are going to break you into little pieces if the boss doesn't get some real money soon.
I paid.
Yeah, I heard. Peanuts. But don't worry. If your information is good enough, I may buy the debt myself. Let you pay it off in installments. Interest-free.
Information on what?
UK Futures. Now, what's going on there? They tell me it's a nice, clean, cozy company. Research stuff. And this morning, they make the news headlines as germ warfare headquarters. And now, on the radio coming over here, it's reported they've been blown off the face of the earth.
What? I don't believe...
Yeah, ba-boom. 500,000 of the company's money invested there, and now the joint is matchsticks. Now, what the hell were you people getting into?
Look, get me out of here. I'll tell you all about it.
Convince me it's worth getting you out of here.
How much would it be worth knowing how to stop people getting old and dying?
What do you mean?
That's what the government's trying to hide.
If you're lying, you got problems. Would 30 grand buy his marker?
Sure. That'll do nicely.
The deal is done. One of my boys will drop in to collect and pay later. Okay, you. Let's go. I want a couple of our chemists to check you out.
Enough evidence of wrongdoing was found on the site by Major Peters and his team to ensure a conviction could take place if the culprits were ever to come to trial.
Weapons of biological warfare?
Yes. highly volatile atmosphere around that sort of chemical mix, Prime Minister. Often quite dangerous.
Hence the explosion.
Quite. And evidence of whatever else was going on there gone for good.
But how to stop the staff talking about it once the dust settles?
Well, the bulk of cases fairly straightforward. There was an accident. The complex was completely destroyed. The government could offer Professor Slingsby compensation. Brand new laboratory, say. So some of the important research he was carrying out there can continue.
You are free to make the offer. And the rest of his staff?
With a notable exception. They will no doubt want to join Slingsby, having signed the Official Secrets Act, of course.
And the notable exception?
Kate Brown. It would appear she made the initial discovery, and would be very loath just to let it be forgotten. Presumably sees herself as some future Marie Curie with a place in the medical history books.
So what's the answer?
As reported. She escaped the site with her boyfriend. They're both armed and dangerous. No doubt an answer will present itself in the fullness of time.
Tell Major Peters to do what has to be done.
Very good, Prime Minister.
Kate!
Through here. I'm getting coffee. Would you like one?
Later. Did you find a reporter?
Yeah, she was nice. Really sympathetic. Finally said she believed me. But couldn't get anyone interested in the story without handing me over.
The government's done its work too well.
It looks that way. She was here until about 10 minutes ago. Wanted to have you confirm the story. I told her to come in tomorrow morning. Said we'd talk about handing ourselves in so we could get a hearing.
You trust her?
Yes. And she said she'd prove she trusted me to put my mind at rest. And she did.
How?
She asked me if I'd give her the treatment.
Huh?
I did. Now she lives forever as well.
I'd like to join her.
You mean it?
Sure.
You were dead against it. What's brought about the big change?
Well, if the government has gone to this much trouble to stop you spreading the message, they must think it's for real, must think it works. So, like the reporter, I'm all yours. Let's not grow old disgracefully together.
When we're within a street of the target, dismount and go in on foot. Surround the property as silently as possible. I don't want them disturbed until we're all in place. Now, don't forget they're armed and dangerous traitors and must be treated as such at all times. If and when they open fire from the building, wait until after I give the order to fire back. When I do so, make sure that nobody could possibly walk from that building alive. That's all.
Sir.
Johnson!
Sir.
At the double, I've got work for you.
Yes, sir.
Feel any different?
Not a thing. Pinprick hurts, of course, but apart, nothing.
Isn't it extraordinary? I mean, it's just so easy.
And what would the effect of nobody dying be worldwide?
That wouldn't be our business, Joe. Just giving people the opportunity of living longer would be enough. Anyway, the story is going to be out, finally. Once we're in custody, the world is going to know all about it.
It could be even sooner.
How do you mean?
Look, you better sit down, Kate. I have a confession or two to make, and it's not going to be easy.
Confession?
Just sit down.
You got it, Johnson?
Yes, sir. I'll draw an extra 2 guns from the armoury, but it won't appear on the record. Take Smithy with me. Cover the back of the building until you come up and give me the word. Then we smash the back door down, go inside, up the stairs and into the room there.
Well done.
We arrest him or kill him, sir?
Neither. You break the front window with the barrel, making sure you're not seen, but the gun barrel is. Rake the streets with fire, don't hit anyone. Then drop both guns on the floor and get out of the double.
And the boys fire back?
Yes. They fire back. Well, wouldn't you, Johnson? After all, they are traitors.
You promised me you'd stop gambling as soon as we got engaged.
I stopped. I went to the casino to make a payment. They kept me there.
Why?
They were waiting for a man called Danny Flowers to arrive. He knew I worked for UK Futures and wanted to know what was really going on at the laboratory. Said he'd look after the gambling debt if the information was good enough.
Well, why should he want to know about the laboratory?
Oh, said he was an investor getting into trouble with his own company for investing in germ warfare.
Oh, so you told him that it wasn't true about the germ warfare?
Yes, I told him you'd actually found the secret of eternal life and that the government wasn't too happy about it.
You didn't feel guilty trading my secret?
I thought you wanted the world to know.
Well, not that way. Paying off a gambling debt in a dodgy club. It's not exactly the equivalent of an article in the Lancet.
It got me out of a very tight spot. I thought you wouldn't mind.
Oh, let's leave it for now. What did you do then?
He took me to a backstreet laboratory to be quizzed by one of his technicians.
So the skin and blood samples are kept refrigerated?
No, they're just kept on Petri dishes in the clean room.
How long?
Over 6 months now.
No deterioration at all?
No.
I don't pay you to whistle. Tell me what's going on.
If he's telling the truth about the samples and how they're treated, she could have something special.
What? Special like what?
Well, there was a massive breakthrough in adult gene manipulation last year, and she's obviously piggybacking on that technique in a fairly unusual area of the brain.
And don't try to blind me with that scientific crap. Just give it to me straight in a few words.
2 words. Eternal life. I think she really might have found eternal life.
How did they react?
Oh, Danny Flowers got very excited. He said there was more to be made out of this than out of all the tablets in the world. He went to make phone calls and I was driven back to where I'd parked the motorbike.
So, word on the treatment is out in the open.
I wouldn't guarantee that. My feeling is they'll probably want to use it for their own ends.
We'll see.
I heard about the lab going up.
Spectacular.
Anyone hurt?
No, they'd already been moved. According to television, they were being taken to a secret location for questioning. There was a picture of Professor Slingsby going into a building, carrying the little mouse box I gave him. Then someone put a coat over his head to hide his face from the cameras. But it was definitely him.
The big problem, Professor, is how to sort this mess out sensibly and let you get back to your researches in the shortest possible time.
I'd like that, and I'm sure the rest of my staff would as well.
I'm sure you'll agree, a couple of notable exceptions.
I know nothing of any illegal activity taking place at UK Futures. We were simply a minor part of the Genome Project.
We are prepared to accept that you know nothing. But it was a very large place, and if this runaway pair were getting up to something nefarious, which they obviously were, it would be very easy to hide the fact from you.
Well, I suppose you're right. So what happens now?
First, we would like, as quickly as possible, to exonerate you and the bulk of your staff from any possible blame in this matter. Secondly, we shall expect you to go public, condemning the 2 who have been secretly using UK Futures for their own anti-government work on behalf of a foreign power.
I'd find it very hard to betray a member of my staff in such a fashion.
2 of your staff. The rest will walk free, providing, of course, you make the required statement. And then finally, there is the question of compensation for you and your company when this whole sorry issue is successfully concluded.
There'll be compensation?
If you're back on the team. It is proposed that UK Futures be provided with funds at a high enough level to give you a state-of-the-art complex twice the size of the one destroyed.
And in return, I would have to write and publicly deliver a speech on the subject of my innocence and Kate and Joe's guilt.
The speech is already written, Professor. All you would have to do is deliver it to all branches of the media at a worldwide press conference.
Chinese Revolution and Little Red Book fashion.
That's not quite the attitude we're expecting. The deal is not completed yet, and charges may still be made in a different direction. We have the evidence.
What is it?
Over here, there are troops in the street.
What?
They're infiltrating the gardens and hiding behind the hedges up and down the street. Look. No, don't open the curtains. Look through the gap.
I can't see anything.
Oh, jungle camouflage jackets. Wait for it. There's one.
Oh.
Dead opposite, going from right to left.
I see him. What are we going to do, Joe?
Well, we're going to go out and give ourselves up as quick as we can. Oh, someone breaking in at the back.
Joe, I'm frightened.
There's a couple of the soldiers. Put your hands up. We surrender. You hear? We surrender.
Too late for that, traitor.
What the hell do you think you're doing? This is not our flat. Back it up. We surrender.
Okay, Smithy, fire off a blast, but make sure you don't hit anyone. Okay, Squire, we've stopped now, and the guns are yours as a little souvenir.
Oh, we don't want your guns.
What are they doing?
What the hell was that all about? Oh, no, Kate.
Joe!
We've got to get out of here.
What's going on, Joe?
We've been set up.
Joe!
The door's locked.
Joe!
We've been set up. It was most unfortunate, Prime Minister, that they both should die before we could interrogate them. But the Major says the troops were fired at from the upper room.
There'll be questions in the house. There were no options?
No. It was the second time the troops had been fired at without provocation. There really was no choice.
So, is there an end to it?
When negotiations with Professor Slingsby are finalized, he'll be allowed home. A news conference will then be set up at the earliest convenient date.
And will he do a mea culpa for the 2 members of his staff who got involved in this filthy chemical weapons trade?
Yes. It was under his nose, but without his or anyone else's knowledge.
What about the rest of the staff?
We're quite sure they'll be equally malleable.
Good.
Oh, thank you.
So there's an end to it.
I would hope so, Prime Minister.
Cheers.
Long life.
I was shocked beyond belief when I heard of Kate's death. In a strange way, her boyfriend didn't count. I'd never met him. He was just a name. But less than an hour before she died, I had been with her, shared a drink, heard her story, and finally, convinced she was telling the truth, let her treat me. She was a thoroughly nice young woman, not a machine-gun-toting urban guerrilla. And now she was dead. But what to do about it? The army, along with the police, refused to discuss the matter. And then I heard they were letting Professor Slingsby go free and uncharged. So I got his address from the usual sources and decided to pay him a visit.
Working in such a close-knit community as a research laboratory is, you come to know all the staff personally. They become family.
So you knew Kate Brown and Joe Bernard well?
Yes.
And you think they were capable of doing what they were accused of doing?
Well, it's hard to come to terms with, but yes. If there was something underhand going on at UK Futures, and I have to believe the army found what they say they found, then the fact that they ran away from the complex when the troops arrived was, to my mind, fairly indicative that they were somehow involved.
And what of Kate Brown's research into eternal life?
What?
Was that something she anticipated being suppressed, and therefore ran away to get the story out before it was too late?
I'm afraid these matters are classified. It's not something I can speak about to a reporter.
She, along with her companion, were murdered to stop that story ever getting out.
They both had guns. You've seen the reports on the television. He was afraid of gang violence because of his gambling debts, over £30,000.
You can't really believe that Kate Brown or her boyfriend could have shot at the troops in that fashion.
It was on the news.
Well, you say you knew them. It's impossible they did this thing. You forget I met her. I spent the evening with her.
I quite simply can't discuss this matter. You must leave now.
Professor Slingsby, when you do finally speak to the world, you can put the record straight. You can at least give their lives some meaning by revealing what Kate had discovered. If she had lived, she could have changed the world.
Perhaps the world isn't ready for such a change. Not ready for such a drastic realignment of man's relationship with death. Perhaps she pushed too hard and too fast for her own good. Be wary you don't make the same mistake. I certainly shan't. Now, please, go.
After you've seen these.
What on earth?
I got them from a friend, police photographer. They won't be published. That's what you look like when your body has been riddled by bullets, Professor.
Awful. Just awful. I'm sorry. The interview is at an end. Take your photographs with you.
No. You keep them, Professor. Come the day, they'll remind you who you're betraying.
The matter of the germ warfare establishment at UK Futures rapidly comes to a conclusion. Next week, Professor Slingsby will be making his speech to the world's press. As for Slingsby's new state-of-the-art laboratory, this was brilliantly managed by the Minister of Health, who found a source of money not previously tapped into. Minister?
Well, the giant American chemical investment company Cultraco has come up with an extraordinary offer for the benefit of the National Health Service and the country as a whole. They're proposing to fund a private ward in every hospital in the country. This is so a new treatment in rejuvenation therapy can be thoroughly tested and applied. The treatment is extraordinarily expensive, up to £250,000 per person per treatment. But in return for permission to set up these wards, 10% of the bed space throughout the country will be kept clear for government-nominated cases. It's believed, as well as senior political figures, major dignitaries of the church, state and palace, well-loved sporting personalities, etc., etc., that it would be of phenomenal value as a grace and favour gift to overseas heads of state and other foreign dignitaries. If this motion is passed today, then it's been agreed that the whole cabinet team, if they so wish, can sample the treatment before the week is out.
Eternal life! Eternal life pitched at a price that doesn't bring down the health service and leave us in penury. And I find that an infinitely more acceptable state of affairs than having the whole world clamouring at our door to have it for free.
I hate being the only wet blanket at the party, Prime Minister, but let's not forget that Cultraco wealth has its roots in the mafia. This is crime syndicate money we're talking of here.
Minister! They're now running totally legitimate businesses, cleansed of all crime and criminal elements. They're simply, quite honourably, going about the business of increasing their family fortunes.
I agree, Prime Minister. I think we should accept the offer.
We're just settling down and then we'll be underway, Professor.
Good.
Would you pick up the phone? The Minister would like a final word before you go.
Oh, certainly. Hello?
Ah, Slingsby. I'm here with the Prime Minister and the Minister of Health. We'll be watching your performance with some interest.
Performance?
Oh, sorry. Speech. And the Prime Minister has asked me to remind you your funding does rather depend on the quality of your delivery. After all, £3 million is rather a lot of money for one speech. Are you there, Slingsby? Did you hear me?
Oh, yes. I heard you all right, Minister. So, that's what the payment is for. One speech. Not for research, not for unravelling the mysteries of the body, not for painstakingly discovering the genetic makeup of man to improve the health of the world, no. But for one speech. Well, on reflection, $3 million does seem rather too much, Minister. After all, Judas Iscariot settled for 30 pieces of silver for only one body. I could perhaps settle for 60 for the 2 I'm delivering.
What are you jabbering on about, Slingsby?
I've seen the photographs, Minister.
What photographs? Slingsby? Speak to me. Slingsby!
Are you ready, Professor?
Oh, yes. Yes, I'm ready, all right. I can hardly wait.
Would you like me to look after
No. No, the box comes with me. The world is about to meet 2 very special white mice.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, please. It is my pleasure to introduce Professor Slingsby. I am informed that Professor Slingsby will not be taking any questions after he has made his speech.
I'm pleased to be able to tell you that on both counts the gentleman introducing me is wrong.
I will not be making the speech prepared for me, and I will be...
What does he mean he's not making a prepared speech? That's what we're paying him to do.
I've simply no idea.
Supposing he's got wind of the fact that we've all had the treatment.
There's no way that could have got out, Prime Minister.
This
is the statement that I'm supposed to be reading to you this morning. Yeah, the statement prepared by the government. It is a total lie from start to finish.
Get him off that platform now.
Get me through to the conference room immediately.
We're all implicated.
Now.
How much does he know?
God knows.
The truth of the matter is what Kate Brown actually discovered at UK Futures was a safe, simple method of giving everybody who wanted it eternal life. See the two white mice in this box? One young, one old. They are the same age, and the young one will live forever. There were no weapons of germ warfare at the laboratory. There was no traitorous activity. There was only the discovery of something that frightened the government into brutal action. Eternal life. Available to all at the cost of pence. And the discovery cost Kate Brown and Joe Bernard their lives.
I don't care what it looks like. Get him off that platform now. If need be, shouting and screaming.
They weren't fighting back in that flat. They had no guns. They were simply executed at the government's behest, because the government could not handle the implication of what would happen when the general public discovered that this treatment existed. Not only existed, but was completely safe. They decided to suppress that knowledge, and the only way they could do that was by exterminating Kate Brown and Joe Bernard, and the government are now reaping the benefit. I have it, on good authority, that the whole cabinet, from the Prime Minister down to the Cabinet Secretary, have been given the treatment that will give them eternal life. The same treatment that ensured Kate Brown's sudden death. I may not get my laboratory, but I feel clean.
Put out an order. Stop it being broadcast.
Too late. All the live satellite links worldwide will have it.
Then we're done for.
Today, the whole cabinet, including the Prime Minister, announced its resignation. I'm of a mind that any government that could bring itself to kill to stop this matter coming to the knowledge of the general public, and then go on to use the treatment themselves to extend their own lives, deserves to fall. And so they have. Elections will be called at the earliest opportunity, and you can be sure that all parties will fight on a platform guaranteeing to freely give this treatment to anybody who wants it, and to rescind the disgraceful National Health Service contract with a mafia-funded company, Cultraco. I confidently predict, over the next few weeks or months, you'll be asked whether you wish to take advantage of an offer at your doctor's surgery to have a small amount of blood removed, have it treated, and then have it re-injected. Your body will then do the rest. There will be no side effects whatsoever, and the injection will ensure that you will, barring major accidents, live forever. Will you accept the offer? Or will you turn it down? You sent for me, Professor Slingsby. What is it?
You had the treatment.
Yes, I did. Perhaps an hour before Kate died. Why do you ask?
I'm sorry.
Sorry?
What I have to tell you. Take the cloth off that mouse cage, would you?
This?
Kate gave me 2 white mice.
Well, there's only one. An old one.
There is a small pile of dust in the left-hand corner. That is the other. I watched it happen. In less than a minute it lived the whole of its life to date, died, and continued deteriorating till it turned to dust. Less than a minute. I very much fear that all who've been treated will end the same way.
Well, how long? How long do we have?
I don't know.
In 625Y by Wally K. Daly, Amanda Root was Kate and Geoffrey Whitehead Slingsby. Joe was John Strickland, the reporter Elizabeth Conboy, the Prime Minister Chris Transhaw, the Minister of Defence Ian Masters, and Major Peters Brett Usher. Danny was Stuart Milligan, the laboratory technician Harry Myers, and the Minister of Health Sandra Clark. Other parts were played by members of the cast. "625Y was directed by Gordon House.